Sega. From arcade powerhouse to third-party juggernaut, the debate between two factions rages on. Today on Main Game.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Game, the best video game show in Malaysia where we do what Nintendo don't. That's not from us, but from a very outdated tagline from the 19s, one that is appropriate for this episode as you'll find out soon enough. I'm your host, Ifa.
And I'm your co-host Lewis Larkham, ready to break the sound barrier with a certain blue streak who represents one of the biggest game companies out there. That's right, today's going to be a Sega-focused episode where we talk about the rise of the company in the arcade and console days to its pivot into being a third-party company.
And to top it off, we talked to a bunch of people about their favorite mascot and fighting game in a segment we like to call Apa Gamers Mahu, or What Gamers Want.
And without further ado, let's dive right into our first segment, Lowdown.
When you think legacy video game companies, which one comes to mind?
Definitely Activision, and yes, I thought that because I'm a big Call of Duty fan, but many people do not know that Activision has been around since 1979. Before making Modern Warfare first-person shooters, the company made Atari games like Dragster, Fishing Derby, and Boxing. Activision was also responsible for adventure games like Zork series and the first-person titles like Mech Warrior games. But what about you, Aoife?
If I had to pick one, I'm familiar with it's EA. Thanks to our previous season spotlight on sports games and racing games, I realized that the games I do know and played back in the day are from EA. Need for Speed, FIFA, and The Sims, my all-time favorite game where I can control people, live out their lives, and shape up the house and neighborhood of my dreams.
Speaking of dreams, it's time to dive into our legacy company subject for today's episode, Sega.
The company behind your favorite arcade games in the 80s like Afterburner and Space Harrier, as well as their 90s contributions like the Mega Drive and Sonic the Hedgehog. It's time to take you to the next level with a Sega Retrospective Part 1.
Sonic,
An adventure's no fun if it's too easy.
Yakuza,
Yo.
Super Monkey Ball. What do these three monumentally iconic IPs have in common? They were all developed by Sega. In the annals of gaming history, few names evoke as much nostalgia and admiration as Sega. And although most of you will probably know Sega for the games they make, some of you are probably young enough that you didn't know that Sega used to be in the console race, which is dominated nowadays by Microsoft's Xbox and Sony's PlayStation. From its humble beginnings in the 1940s, to its meteoric rise in the arcade scene, and the turbulent journey through the console wars, Sega's story is one of innovation, triumph, and eventual decline. But what happened? Let's find out. Sega's story begins in the smoky arcades of the mid-20th century, where Sega first made its mark with a string of arcade successes. Titles like Periscope and Pongtron captured the imagination of gamers worldwide, laying the foundation for what was to come. Periscope was an arcade shooting game that simulated a submarine attacking warships. The game featured a backdrop resembling an ocean, with cardboard cutouts of ships suspended from chains moving horizontally. Players utilized the periscope to aim and fire torpedoes, represented by lines of colored lights and accompanied by electronic sound effects. Pongtron was Sega's initial foray into video-based gaming. and served as their interpretation of the classic Pong game.
요, 가운데 거면 이때 못 알겠네.
But it was in the early 1980s that Sega faced its first major challenge. As the video game industry experienced a crash, Sega doubled down on innovation, leading to an arcade comeback that would define the company's future. Enter Yu Suzuki, the visionary game designer whose creations would revolutionize the industry, with hits like Hang On and Space Harrier.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Suzuki not only revitalized Sega's arcade business, but also laid the groundwork for its foray into the console market. By the late 1980s, Sega had set its sights on the home console market, launching the Sega Master System and later the iconic Sega Mega Drive, known as the Genesis in North America. With its sleek design and cutting-edge technology, the Mega Drive quickly became a household name. But it was a spiky blue mascot that truly catapulted Sega into the stratosphere. Sonic the Hedgehog burst onto the scene in 1991, capturing the hearts of gamers everywhere, cementing Sega's dominance in the industry. However, as the mid-1990s approached, cracks began to appear in Sega's armor. Ambitious projects like the 32X and Sega CD failed to gain traction, and the release of the Sega Saturn was marred by mismanagement and controversy. By the late 1990s, Sega found itself in dire straits, hemorrhaging money and struggling to stay afloat in an increasingly competitive market. In a last-ditch effort to turn things around, Sega released the Dreamcast in 1998. The Dreamcast was ahead of its time, boasting innovative features like online connectivity and a vibrant library of games. But despite critical acclaim, it wasn't enough to save Sega from its fate. In 2001, Sega made the heartbreaking decision to bow out of the console market altogether, marking the end of an era for a beloved gaming company. Though Sega's console journey may have ended, its legacy lives on in the hearts of gamers everywhere. From the arcades to the living room, Sega's impact on the gaming industry is undeniable, forever etched into history. But as one chapter closes, another begins. So join us later in part 2 as we explore Sega's evolution into a third-party game developer and its enduring impact on the gaming landscape from 2001 until now.
Wow, that was some fine recapping, Luis, especially with a company that's very rich in gaming history.
Why, thank you, Aoife, but it's hard to imagine being Yu Suzuki and what his shoes were like, as he had to come up with so many visionary ideas for arcade machines and tech. All that pressure, I personally couldn't. And people behind the inception of the Sega Mega Drive and Dreamcast, hats off to them as well for making a classic game machine that the whole of Asia experienced in the 90s, but I did want to ask, which of these games do you remember growing up, Aoife?
Honestly, there were too many, okay? But I remember the mascot platformers more because of how colorful they were and how easy it was to pick up and play the games, okay? There was Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, all three games. There was another game called Restar, also from the team that made Sonic the Hedgehog. You play as a shooting star with arms and legs. Your arms can grab anything from handlebars to ledges to even enemies. The coolest part is when you grab enemies, you can destroy them with a headbutt.
That sounds pretty awesome, but I mean, can I play that now?
Yes, you can actually. On the Sega Genesis Mini 2 mini console. If you can't find that, you can get it as a digital download on Steam.
Well, I cannot wait to wrap up this shoot and go and check it out. But don't worry, fellow viewers, I'm not gonna bail like Alex Kidd just yet. We have the second half of our Sega show coming right up, so stick around for after these commercials.
Welcome back, gamers. How did Sega fare in being a third-party video game developer? Let's find out in this second part of our deep dive into the renowned company and how it turned its past misfortune around.
In the wake of bidding farewell to the console market in 2001, Sega stood at a crossroads. While some anticipated a gradual decline for the once dominant gaming conglomerate, others speculated on the company's potential for a remarkable resurgence. What followed was a period of reinvention, reinnovation, and strategic partnerships that would redefine Sega's role in the gaming industry. 2001 to 2003 marked Sega's embarkment on a transformative journey into third-party gaming. With the closure of its hardware division, Sega focused its efforts on software development, aiming to leverage its rich history of iconic franchises and innovative game design to carve out a new path in the ever-evolving gaming landscape. However, this transition was not without its challenges. Sega faced significant financial burdens, with debts looming large over the company's future. It was during this critical juncture that Isao Okawa, chairman of CSK Corporation, stepped in to settle Sega's debt, providing the company with a much-needed lifeline and the opportunity to chart a course towards stability and growth. In 2003, Sega embarked on a new chapter with the acquisition by Sammy Corporation, marking a significant turning point in its history. Under the leadership of Hajime Satomi, president and CEO of Sammy, Sega shifted towards its profitable arcade business. The merger with Sammy enabled Sega to explore new avenues for growth and expansion. Innovative concepts tailored to the Japanese market, such as Derby Owners Club and trading card game machines, revitalized Sega's presence in arcades. Additionally, partnerships with industry luminaries like John Woo showcased Sega's commitment to pushing the boundaries of interactive entertainment. With a renewed sense of purpose, the 2000s and early 2010s saw Sega venture into new territories, as it made significant strides in studio acquisitions and intellectual property development. Notable acquisitions included Creative Assembly, known for the Total War series, Sports Interactive, who are the folks behind Football Manager, Relic Entertainment, who are known for Company of Heroes, and the brains behind the Persona series, Atlus. These strategic moves bolstered Sega's portfolio and positioned it as a major player in the global gaming industry. This period of time also saw Sega collaborate with Nintendo, resulting in the Mario and Sonic Olympic Game series, which showcased Sega's versatility and willingness to explore new partnerships. Additionally, success in the Japanese market with franchises like Yakuza and Hatsune Miku Project Diva highlighted Sega's ability to resonate with diverse audiences. But despite these successes, Sega still faced challenges, including closures of development studios and restructuring efforts to streamline operations. This shift towards digital platforms and mobile gaming marked a new era for Sega, as it adapted to evolving consumer preferences and market trends. In recent years, Sega has undergone further restructuring and reorganization, establishing numerous corporations and limited companies. But then 2020 saw challenges persist, with the COVID-19 pandemic impacting Sega's arcade operations, prompted further adjustments to Sega's business model. In light of this, Sega shifted its focus on leveraging its iconic brands and nurturing new talent to shape the future of gaming. On the horizon, we can expect to see more and more games come from Sega's subsidiary developers, such as Atlus, who are slated to release Metaphor ReFantazio later this year. And it was also unveiled at the most recent Game Awards that Sega will be rebooting a plethora of classic titles, such as Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and many more. These ambitious initiatives reflect Sega's commitment to honoring its storied legacy, while embracing the opportunities of the future. As Sega continues to innovate and inspire, its journey from console developer to third-party developer to gaming powerhouse serves as a testament to the enduring resilience and creativity of one of gaming's most iconic companies. From its humble beginnings to its triumphant resurgence, Sega's legacy remains etched into the annals of gaming history, reminding us that the spirit of adventure and innovation knows no bounds.
And that is how you pivot your business model from a leading console maker that was bruised by the competition over time to getting back on the pedestal with its slew of big games. That is Sega's history in a nutshell.
That it is, and honestly, the company wouldn't have made it this far if it were not for the substantial financial aid from Isao Okawa and taking its chances with the Yakuza / Like a Dragon games.
And also Project Diva and Hatsune Miku. They hold the license to make rhythm games using that virtual pop idol, with the recent one being the mobile game Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage.
Well, here's a little bit of mobile game trivia that we couldn't fit into our recap due to time constraints. Sega once made a tower defense role-playing game called Chain Chronicle. That mobile game from 2013 made serious bank for Sega of Japan to help fund its console game development from that year onward. Chain Chronicle did come out in English but was discontinued. I guess some things work out in Japan but might not work so well in other countries, so it seems.
Wow, okay. Is that true though?
Well, given that mobile games make a lot of money from that year onwards, it just might be.
Okay, so what's the next in the cards for Sega?
Well, it's like I said in the video that later this year we can expect Metaphor Refantasio, which is, yes, slated for 2024. Then we have the remakes of classic Sega titles like Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe, Shinobi, and Jet Set Radio, which I believe the upcoming Shinobi might be developed by Guard Crush or Dotemu or Lizard Cube. These are the same guys who did the amazing Streets of Rage 4 from Sega a few years back.
Okay, that is a very packed schedule for Sega, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. Let's take a commercial break for now. When we come back, we'll be taking a survey of sorts from the Malaysian public.
And now for something completely different. Thanks to the help of some of you guys, the Malaysian public, we found out who the best mascots and fighting games are.
This is a segment we like to call Apa Gamer Mahu, or What Gamers Want. Here we ask random folks in gaming events and public spaces a good number of gaming related questions. So let's check out the results.
In the 90s era of gaming, competition is ever present. The most common ones involve pop culture debates, picking one side over the other, arguing and defending it until the proverbial cows come home. Michael Jackson versus Prince, Winona Ryder versus Alicia Silverstone, Jackie Chan versus Jet Li, Oasis versus Blur. In video games, it's Sonic versus Mario, Street Fighter versus Tekken. As we mentioned in our previous segments, Sonic the Hedgehog is a fast and speedy blue hedgehog who represents the bold face of Sega, aggression and all. Sonic's games focus on speed and vertical bouts of exploration, and also an eco versus machine theme going on. Mario represents the all-ages face of gaming for the popular Nintendo platform, be it the 8-bit original or the 16-bit juggernaut. Not only do his games showcase the pinnacle of 2D platforming ingenuity, but they dabble in other genres, from go-karting to turn-based role-playing gaming. Both video game mascots had their highs and lows, but throughout the ages they have persevered through time and are still relevant to this day, be it in video games or other facets of pop culture.
Do you know the way?
Street Fighter? I mean, it's the greatest 2D fighting game series of all time. A game changer. And Tekken? Well, Tekken 8 is the hottest 3D fighting game right now with all the right moves and quite a history. We'll get to that fighter soon enough. Even until now, the eternal question remains. Sonic or Mario? Street Fighter or Tekken? Which one is popular? We ask the public who the better side is.
Oh well, Tekken 8 right now is currently like a very good hobby. Well, I never played Street Fighter before, and I only started playing Tekken 7. Yeah, and so currently Tekken 8 came out, so yeah, it's pretty fun game at the moment.
I never played Street Fighter, so I would say Tekken. I feel like the controls are a lot more easier compared to Street Fighter. Because Street Fighter, you can really just smash the buttons to at least make a combo. Compared to Tekken, you can at least make a small combo by smashing.
Tekken. I used to play fighting game when I was younger. After a while, when I met the FGC, I started playing like more fighting games. I find Tekken very tactical. You know, the timings is different. It falls under slower game, I guess, for some people. But I mean, it's still too fast for me to react. Things to consider when it comes to Tekken, such as your defensive, your offensive, and if you're actually doing the right punishes.
Sonic. I like them fast.
Both are pretty nice, but I think I prefer Mario because I used to have like a Game Boy, like a blue color one. So yeah, currently more nostalgia towards it.
Oh, shit. Mario. Oh, yeah, Mario. Actually, kind of like Sonic too. Mostly because they have more games nowadays, especially party games. I love party games, hence why Mario.
Mario. Mario's just cooler, man. I don't know. He's a plumber. Sonic or Mario? Sonic. I'm sorry, I just like Sonic more. It's the month of Ramadan now, and Sonic goes fast.
Okay, I see what he did there. Anyways, the people of Malaysia have spoken. They like Mario more than Sonic. I'm not sure how to respond to that, Luis.
I mean, in truth, I love them both. I like Mario for his wholesomeness and his approachability in his games, but I also love Sonic for his attitude and speedy games. So I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but that's my choice.
Well, I'm Team Mario. His games are family-friendly and, like you said, approachable.
Well, personally, I feel like the new Sega mascot should be Kazuma Kiryu, since he did all the heavy lifting in keeping Sega relevant with the Yakuza and Like a Dragon games.
I am curious as to how Street Fighter and Tekken got into the mix of our Vox Pop segment.
Well, when I think of fierce rivalries, Street Fighter and Tekken do come to mind. Plus, we are going to be talking about the latter soon enough. In our last season, we talked about 2D fighting games more, so perhaps it's about time we touch on the 3D side of things in the future.
That is true. And speaking of mascots and the people, it's time for this episode's quiz. And are you ready? Your question for this episode of Main Game is... Tang tang! Okay, who is the most famous blue mascot in Sega? Okay, I repeat, who is the most famous blue mascot in Sega? Here's a hint. It's not Jack Frost or Persona and Atlas fame.
Yeah. Well, you can go to our Facebook and Instagram to send in your answers. Winners will get a gaming prize stated on the Facebook and Instagram post. That's Kakuchopurei, spelled Kakuchopurei on Facebook and Instagram. And thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Main Game. I'm your co-host, Lewis.
And this is Ifa signing out. And also remember, to be this good, take Sega. And we from Main Game team would like to wish you guys a happy fasting, Selamat Hari Ramadan, and Selamat menyambut Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Maaf Zahir dan Batin. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.